Plus.
Expect fair skies Monday through Wednesday with temperatures in the 80s on Monday.
And welcome back to the Weather Channel Evening Edition West Coast. It's 10 minutes before the hour and time now for your tropical update. Show you some scenes from South Padre Island, Texas, as winds from Tropical Storm Erika made sure that the storm was known. Erika made landfall in Mexico early Saturday morning. At this hour, though, Erika's threat is greatly diminished. Let's go ahead and look at Erika and landfall here. And sure enough, this thing made landfall into Mexico around 6 a.m. Central Time. And the peak measured sustained winds, you can see there, gusting up to the 33-mile-per-hour category. There's some of the rainfall totals. There were some parts of Kennedy County that maybe received as much as 5 inches of rain, and storm surge generally just 2 feet above tide level. But it did produce some dangerous rip currents. So that's an important note to make. That is always a factor when we have a tropical system out there. This is just about all said and done. Tropical Depression Erika, the final advisory has been written for this, and you can see winds of 30 miles per hour at best. It's moving over mountainous terrain now, and that tends to rip it apart, and that's exactly what's happening here. The major threat now for folks in Mexico is going to be some heavy rain and maybe some localized flooding along with some mudslides, so that would be the biggest concern at this point. It continues to move to the west at 14 miles per hour, and it's again weakening considerably. There's the satellite imagery there. We take you out into the Atlantic Basin. We have another area of disturbed weather here that we'll watch. Not seeing any signs of organization, but it's just a region to watch. And we'll go into the Eastern Pacific. And interesting to note that we have not had a hurricane yet this season. And ever since satellite imagery has been watched, dating all the way back to 1970, ever since it's been watched on a regular basis, we have never had or not had a hurricane this late in the season. The latest we saw a hurricane before was about mid-July. Here we are into mid-August and still no hurricane. So very, very interesting. It's been abnormally quiet here in the Eastern Pacific. Couple areas to watch, but not seeing very much going on. There's one area here and a bit further southward, but nothing showing any signs of organization at this time. And Tropical Depression 1C in the Central Pacific, the final advisory written here as this saw its convection getting displaced to the center of where we had a little bit of a circulation, and well, really again kind of ripped apart by some stronger northwesterly winds. So this thing doesn't have much of a chance, and so the final advisory has been written on that, and you can see it on satellite picture. Not looking too terribly impressive out here in the Central Pacific. All right, we'll take you all the way out into the Western Pacific. Lots of areas with clusters of thunderstorms. We have a tropical depression, and as that moves east of Guam, or west of Guam rather, it's likely to become a tropical storm, and we'll be watching that with great interest as well. Closer to home, some isolated severe, that's the threat here. And we're watching our frontal boundaries. It swings on through. Winds already west in New York City, so any showers you get would be during the overnight, the very earliest part of the day, we think on Sunday, and then maybe a improving forecast for the latter half of your weekend across portions of New England. But in the meantime, we are still finding some stronger storms around the Baltimore area, heavy rain, and watching these things approaching you now in D.C. We have had at least one warning associated with these. The greatest threat is going to be heavy rain, some frequent lightning, and the possibility for some small hail and some gusty winds. So keep an eye out for those. It's kind of round 2 for you here around the nation's capital and even into parts of West Virginia, getting some reports of some localized flooding. Berkeley County, a flash flood warning, and also into Chautauqua County in western New York.
It feels like 5 sets of hands massaging my legs.
You have to feel this to believe it.
You're watching the amazing reactions to the new AirPress massager. Hi, I'm Pat Murphy-Stark to tell you about the compressed air massage system that makes your legs and feet feel incredible. Just slip your legs into the AirPress booth. Use the handheld remote to turn them on. You'll immediately feel the chamber fill with air and begin to knead your calves and feet, making sore muscles just melt away. The compressed air gently applies and releases pressure, soothing calves, ankles, and feet